because when they say look at the track record, look at how many national titles we've had over the past 20 years, and which is true, but at the same time, you look a little closer, there's also the overwhelming majority of those titles are from one school, from Alabama. So Alabama has been the crown jewel of the SEC for basically the entire time that Saban was there.
Welcome everyone to another edition of Not Just Another Sports Show, which stands for No Jazz, or No Jazz, which stands for Not Just Another Sports Show. Yes, and please, welcome to all of you. Welcome to all of our new subscribers. Welcome to all of our viewers that have been joining us and watching us, what we've been doing on TikTok. TikTok has been pretty good to us lately. We like the fact that you all have been engaging. Thanks for that. And without further ado, I want to introduce to you my co-pilot. He's actually I don't even like to say co-pilot because that means like he's a navigator, but he controls the wheels sometimes too. So I don't really know how to, in a sense, define what he brings to the table. But nevertheless, because there's not a lot of words that you can say, because he's just so unique in what he does. But nevertheless, you're sitting here waiting for me to say it, so I'll say it for you. Tank, tell the people hello.
What's going on, everybody? Particularly Steeler Nation. How y'all feeling out there?
and that is indeed why we were waiting to give this man an introduction, because I really I wasn't certain if that was his taxi cab shirt, if that was a flag he was wearing, and not a terrible towel, but it was a Steelers shirt. So okay. So now we see he's adjusting it for us. All right. All right. So we just want to let you know, welcome to No Jazz, the No Jazz Show, and make sure you follow us on X at No Jazz Show. Make sure you join our Facebook group at No Jazz Show. Make sure you join us on Instagram or follow us on Instagram at noj.a.s.s. And YouTube, of course. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make you hit that like button. Make sure you comment at No Jazz Show, and you all have been doing that. And I definitely appreciate you all for your engagement in this venture that we're on, and it just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing. Eventually, we have also they're not going to introduce themselves. I'm not sure. We may have to ask our producers, but we have a new sponsor that we're going to add to the show. And I just want to say, coming up very soon as the season ends, and a lot of very important people in the sports world, start to their schedules get a little bit different. We're going to have some guests, renowned guests. I'm not going to say who those guests are, but they're going to be some renowned faces joining the No Jazz scene. So look for us as we grow. And again, I appreciate you. I'm saying it at the beginning because I don't want to leave you in the end. But to begin, we are going to get right to it. When it gets right down to it. And speaking of down, my Miami Hurricanes went down.
Hi there.
To Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is the state of Florida football king. They had beat the top two schools, what would be considered the top two schools, and I'm pretty sure they would beat Florida. And taking down Miami. And what a lot of people are calling a heartbreaker. I guess it was a heartbreaker if you want to believe. I'm a football fan first. I'm a football fan, but I'm also a purist, and I was watching them play. So a lot of people want to believe it was sort of an upset, but it was more of a um, bound to happen, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Georgia Tech came out. You could tell they watched their film. You can tell they saw the many mistakes that Miami just didn't seem to alleviate from week to week. And they took advantage of those mistakes, and they didn't let up off that gas, even when Miami began to look as if Cam Ward and the offense, which is the number one offense in the nation, highest scoring offense in the nation, seemed to be about to work their magic. They never let up off of who they were and what they did. And without further ado on that subject, I just want to get Tank's assessment of that win by Georgia Tech.
It was a good all-around team victory. I mean, they had everything working. They took advantage of mistakes, not just mistakes that Miami made, but they took advantage of, like you said, of watching game film and taking advantage of mistakes that Miami makes weekly. Certain the gaffes they have in certain plays that they do. They picked up on tendencies and they took advantage of it. They were fundamentally sound. They had a game plan and they stuck to it. They never seemed to get rattled. Ward, he he never. It's like he never settled in until it was too late. And like you said, they didn't take their foot off the gas. I, to be honest, I didn't expect them. I didn't expect Tech to beat Miami. I thought it would be a good game, but in the end, I thought talent-wise, I thought talent was going to prevail. But in this instance, teamwork and coaching and preparation is what got Tech over. And I think Tech is on the way up. I don't think Tech's going to ever run the ACC. They just, for whatever reason, they just don't ever do that. But I think they could end up being a solid second tier team in the ACC and occasionally, shaking some things up. I think the future's still bright for Miami. Getting back, they are getting their swagger back, but they aren't there yet. But I still think they're gonna probably win the ACC also. So there's that. It didn't. I don't think it didn't shake them or move them from winning the ACC. Because I don't see anybody else in the ACC beating them, especially when it gets down to a title game.
The consensus is that before I go there, because I want to take off that last sentence as far as the ACC. Take from that last sentence that you mentioned. This was the first time I had ever seen Cam Ward look 5'11". Like he really has looked his listed 6'2".
Yeah.
And his poise, and I won't say his poise wasn't there. I can't say that. He still had the same unflappable type of energy where it just looked like, everything's going to go right. But what we did notice was they exposed something he hasn't needed, and that is his lack of athleticism
Mm-hmm.
from his footwork, leg standpoint. Like he's elusive. He can get away, he can run, but he's not that tier of athlete to where like you can see how he really needs his athletes on the outside to do for him, and he's going to
Right.
extend the play enough to let his arm do the work. But there were times where his feet moving forward and his decisions, because it looked like he was not making the right decisions to run when he
He's a
should have, but
Yeah. He seemed a little
he
off.
wouldn't do any. Yeah,
Yeah.
he just wasn't his nature and how he plays the QB. That wasn't going to happen anyway. So I don't think he would have made that decision. It was just when those guys normally could come open with the 2 or 3 steps of elusiveness while still in the pocket where he was, it just wasn't happening. And I believe that Georgia Tech was very much prepared in the way in which they eliminated that opportunity for him. Now, there's another I won't say it's a sheriff, but there's another deputy out there. And that deputy is SMU.
Mm-hmm.
SMU has something going for them that could make them the Clemson moving forward, even the FSU moving forward of the ACC. If Miami keeps a stronghold, and builds off this year. And that is the fact that they are another one of those schools in Texas. And Texas has, the state of Texas
Yeah.
has just as much NIL money to hand out than everyone else. SMU is not only going to be fighting for NIL dollars in the ACC. SMU is going to be fighting the schools in Texas. SMU is competing with Texas A&M in Texas to get players. Like they're not really worrying about other people. Like, we're good. So Miami got ranked. They went to I believe number 12 in both polls. Still right in the thick of it. Can win the ACC. Could be one of the top ACC top conferences, I should say, to get a bid or buy that first week of the playoffs. So they kind of control their destiny, but SMU is right there too. Like that is not going to be a cakewalk by no means. I just don't. With the way Miami plays, I just don't see that being a cakewalk. And to add more fuel to that fire, a lot of the transfers that went in the portal and left Miami,
looking at SMU. Yeah.
So there's some familiarity, and athleticism. So that's gonna be something to watch in the coming weeks.
Yeah. The reason I keep laughing because you bring up SMU, it's ironic that 40 years ago, they were in trouble because they were paying out money to get players, not just in the state of Texas. They were able to compete with those other schools in Texas, but nationwide because they had the dollars to. They were what they called them the best team money could buy. And now here we are, fast forward, NIL, and now they can legally buy the best players available. Get back, and arguably could get back to where they once were.
I'm gonna tell. Let me say this. Let me say this in all fairness and seriousness.
Yeah.
In all fairness and seriousness, like I understand why it tickles you because we lived through it. Like we were born kind of right. We're getting to know what football is like right around that time. We don't really know yet, but when this is happening, we're Eric Dickerson era. So we're getting because I believe I remember Dickerson by the time he made it to the Rams. I don't think I remember him at SMU.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember him and James at SMU.
Yeah, you okay? So at any rate, it's like you almost find it fair to find some kind of way to lift that death penalty the same way they did for Reggie Bush.
Right.
Like it's legal now. And we were only really doing what you're doing now. We only really kind of set the standard and told you, hey, this is what's going on in order to compete, and now you see. So it's almost like, matter of fact, I'm gonna do this. If anyone, Eric Dickerson, what was the guy?
Craig James.
Anyone, any of you guys, because I know Edie. Matter of fact, I got a picture with you, Edie. I know you know me. I know you remember me. Any one of you guys that want to come on the show and discuss, how you feel about what happened to you back then, being the portal of what's going on now, and you want to be honored in some way, for having to be the example of what you should not do in college football, which is what college football is now doing, hit me up, man. Hit us in the email. We would love to have you, because that is definitely a story in its own. And I don't want to get too far into it, but yeah, man, you guys, some kind of way you all need to walk across the stage and get some kind of NIL bus or be on the committee or something to tell them how to do it. Something needs to be done, because you set the standard for a lot of teams to be on suspension, but you got the death penalty. Like you're the only one that got the death. Like you got the ultimate. But thank goodness SMU is back and moving along. During that era, and I believe this is probably one of the schools that told on SMU back then, Georgia. Georgia takes its second loss.
No, that's the third loss.
They lost to Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
No. Alabama lost to Vanderbilt.
No. Yeah, Bama lost to Vanderbilt. But Georgia has lost 3 games.
Alabama and Tennessee. Yeah.
Why am I thinking they got a third loss?
They might.
I think they do. I think Georgia does have a third loss.
Hold on.
I can't remember who.
But while we look that up, Georgia lost to Ole Miss this weekend. And I don't understand. It's hard to say what
Georgia, they've only lost 2. Yeah, they've lost 2.
It's 2 losses. Okay. I want to give them extra loss. They're going, hey. But anyway, it's hard to gauge how the CFP really looks at losses in the SEC, because Alabama's playing well now, and Alabama looks like they're rolling, and they almost came back on Alabama, but they took the loss. And then they lose to Ole Miss, and so the SEC gets credited for, well, if Ole Miss beat you, they can beat so many other teams in college football. But the ACC and the Big Ten, they don't get that level of respect.
The quality of loss is different when you're looking at the SEC.
Right, and I honestly don't know who created that. But it's been there since the 70s and 80s. And I know the University of Florida didn't win their first SEC title until what? 80?
80s.
Yeah, no, it wasn't late. It might have been 84.
But the thing about the SEC is,
but they've been there since the 60s.
Yeah, the argument has always been that the SEC cannibalizes itself. The quality of wins mean more because the SEC is definitely top heavy. And in the past, if you took a mid-tier SEC school and played somebody in another conference, the SEC school would win. And that mystique is still carried over, even though it doesn't happen now the way it used to. But they're still top heavy. We had 7 out of 10 years the SEC school that won the national championship before we started the playoffs, and before we started,
how many of those Alabama had?
I lost count. 8, 9? I mean, a ridiculous number. You remember Alabama for a while had played in every SEC championship game.
Right. So there goes the top heavy.
Yeah. And, Georgia would always be nipping at their heels for a while. Then, Florida was always the top, was always up there. So you had Bama for a decade and a half. You had Florida. You had Georgia, who was always just coming up short. You also had Auburn, who had a run for a quick run. Ole Miss rises up every now and then, and they're 8-2 right now as well. So I don't know if Georgia is going to make the playoffs, because especially if they lose another game, because are you going to really put them over Ole Miss after Ole Miss beat them convincingly? And Ole Miss has the same record. I don't know if Ole Miss might not lose another game. I think it's going to be interesting. And also, you got a quarterback who's thrown 12 picks in the past few games. You can't win that way. I mean, they will win it in spite of him turning the ball over. And his draft stock is definitely taking a beating. Because you can't, I mean, there was talk about, well, he's the first round pick. I don't see him I didn't see him as a first round pick before, and I definitely don't now. So,
Hey, and once again, I think the mystique is also going to carry him if he declares for the draft. The SEC mystique, I should say. If he declares for the draft, and goes to the combine, because the NFL still has this thing about creating this quarterback in this quarterback-driven league, but that's a whole nother point. But I want to get to this point right quick. The SEC was established in 1933 with its core teams that they had, right? They had some additions, but the core and strong of the SEC is 1933. The ACC has been around 71 years, which means they came along 20 years later. And it was early 2000s, late 90s, for which they got strong and acquired all of those independent and Big East teams, right? Your FSUs, your Miamis, to be specific. The thing about that, though, is I think the SEC has laid its claim on Southern football.
yeah,
And
definitely.
that's where the mystique comes in at. Like, the SEC is under this impression that and I believe University of Florida being a Florida name, we get all of the banner recruits of this region of the best football. And that's not true. That's not true by far, never been true. But they've allowed themselves to take the glory of high school football in the South, and it translates over into your conference. And it just so happens, thank goodness, that your conference is top heavy and wins all the SEC championships. Because here's why I want to say that. I want to give a little history. In Florida, you want to know who was the king of Florida football when the SEC was around?
When the ACC was around, it wasn't Miami. It was SEC.
1930s, in the 30s, in the 40s, and the 50s.
I can't remember any team, Florida team, doing anything.
Florida A&M Rattlers.
Yeah,
Gaither. FAMU. And what I'm saying is, do you want to know who the cream of the crop was in Louisiana?
Yeah, or the Grambling and Southern.
It was Grambling and Southern. You want to, and I guarantee you in South Carolina, it was the same way. And so when that integrated, and all those guys began going to their school, we're the dominant ones now. I'm almost certain Alabama State and Alabama A&M was fielding teams that would have tore Alabama and Auburn up.
Yeah, they were. Then the HBCUs had talent upon talent upon talent.
Exactly.
I can remember my father saying that when he was in high school, he wanted to go and play for Eddie Robinson. He said he wanted to play for Grambling. He grew up in Bessemer, Alabama, which is right outside of Birmingham. He didn't grow up saying, "Man, I would like to one day play for
Bear Bryant." Yeah,
Bear
exactly.
Bryant. It was like, I want to go to
Dean's
Grambling. I
calling.
want to
Yeah.
play for Robinson.
So I think what it was their marketing, and it's very good. Kudos to them. They really said, we're gonna take all these good boys we got over here, and we're gonna put them with these boys over here, and y'all can have that liberal stuff y'all got going on up over there in California. Everything going up north in Ohio, y'all just aren't fast.
Mm-hmm.
Us, and they marketed themselves as the giant of Southern football, and
it worked.
it worked. And for some strange reason, I know that core group of people who, in the bowl game era are done. Like they're not even. I forgot the Midwest had the big eight and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But they're not even around. In Texas, I give them their props. But it's like, I don't think they're even around anymore. But they handed down a mystique, and I'm gonna wrap all this around this. They handed down a mystique that makes you believe that a Georgia in 2024 at 7-2, because they lost to a Mississippi squad and an Alabama squad, we're still that much more better than whoever you bring with a one loss from the ACC, Big Ten, Pac-10, or whatever. I don't know how they do it.
I mean, because when they say, look at the track record, look at how many national titles we've had over the past 20 years, and which is true. But at the same time, you look a little closer, there's also the overwhelming majority of those titles are from one school, from Alabama. So Alabama has been the crown jewel of the SEC for basically the entire time that Saban was there, and everybody else was fighting for second and third. But Alabama was that much better than everyone else.
And when you want to make your argument, you spread it out a little bit. The University of Florida in the 90s, and you go grab Tennessee, and you go grab the new Georgia.
Yeah, and you grab Urban Myers, Florida.
Yeah, you go grab those a little bit. Yeah, but they're not. What I want to see is, okay, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt still didn't climb to be beating Michigan State. Vanderbilt is not beating Virginia Tech and Maryland on the regular. Vanderbilt is not beating UCLA in a bad year.
Yeah. I always look at Vanderbilt and I compare them to I make them to be the equivalent of Wake Forest in the ACC.
They kind of have a Wake Forest in the ACC, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a highly competitive academic school. Occasionally they can somehow get a good player, and over a 4 or 5 year period, because they don't leave early because they aren't good enough. So after 4 or 5 years, that class will rise up and win 7 or 8 games, and then they start all over again. The peak for them is our senior class. We're going to win 8 games if things go right. And they're happy with that. Because I remember in the 80s, there was a University of Virginia was always winning 8 games, 7 games, 8 games. They were never going to win an ACC. They were never going to be a top team, but they were always winning 8. And Frank Welsh, the coach, they were always talking about how he had so many consecutive 8-win seasons, which was good enough to be a second or third tier team in the conference, but never a national power, never anybody you had to worry about. That's what a lot of teams, the bottom level and the teams that aren't the ones that you talk about in the SEC, that's what they are. If we can beat your bottom level team out of the Pac-10 or out of the Big 12, we all right. game in and game out, you generally have 4, and if you're lucky, 5 SEC teams that are actually good enough to beat anybody in the country.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna roll off of this one with this one because this might be another topic someday. We might have to put this in our post-it note for another topic. But if you really want to know the truth, SEC, the ACC got the University of Miami's and the Florida States to make their basketball conference better.
Man, the team's better, yeah.
Make their to make their basketball conference a better football conference.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you something. The SEC has not. I don't know if that was your mission, but you have not done as good of a job as them, because the same way I've seen Florida State run football tables and University of Miami run football tables, I've seen University of Miami's make it to Elite Eights. I've seen Duke football and North Carolina football and Virginia basketball, that is traditional basketball school. Maryland, I got to throw Maryland in there, become tournament powerhouse. Like the mission was accomplished because they really do have a level situation going on in the ACC between their two most dominant sports.
Yeah.
SEC, not so much. You know, Florida would probably be the only one considered the Alabama of SEC basketball because of, its reign and tournament play. But ACC, kudos to you on that mission, because you're looking like the Big Ten. You're as balanced as the Big Ten in that regard. Now, moving on out to the Pac-12, we have Oregon still remaining at the top. Number 1.
I think they running the table. I mean,
think so? Tell me why.
Well, regular season.
Okay.
I don't know about once we get to the playoffs. I don't know, because anything can happen then. But I do see them. I do think they're going to finish the regular season undefeated.
Shout out to Phil Knight. He's finally. I mean, it always looks like this too. So I gotta wait to the end of the season, because it's not the first time it's ever looked like this. It's ever looked like this. But I will say this: I'm going to watch Oregon in the playoffs. I think they may run the table. I agree, but the test is still going to be
come playoff time.
You always have a track meet team, and then when they meet somebody, Oregon is North Carolina and Virginia Tech if they put them in the ACC. They are Tennessee, and some years they feel that LSU if you put them in the SEC, because I only see one side of the football.
Yeah.
And then when they get up next to those guys, they look regular.
Exactly.
They look regular. That speed out west, they look regular. Even when they put the guys in the pros,
you don't see it. You don't see it. And also when they have to play in SEC school, they aren't outrunning them, and they don't have the power that they have. They don't have the power, and they never do, for whatever reason. They don't. And really, I don't believe that they recruit for that. They don't recruit for that. And that's what
they recruit those guys that look good in uniform.
Yeah. Look good in uniform and can run fast.
Maybe they get the recruits because of those uniforms.
This generation and the previous one, they come to Oregon because for those uniforms. Like, man, I got a different uniform every week.
Different every week.
I mean, and like you said, you got to give it to Phil Knight. He came up with something that is an ongoing thing that would never go out of style. It's almost as if Oregon showed up in the same uniform 3 weeks in a row, people won't know what's going on.
Yeah, they might be going broke. And shout out to Oregon, because I don't talk bad about Oregon too much, because those are our cousins. We know y'all. We know that the duck acts like the ibis. We know that. It's all good. It's all it tries to be. And so, but you're right, man. Anything east of the Mason-Dixon line, Oregon be in trouble.
Yeah.
All the Pac-10
they've been in
schools be
trouble.
in trouble. Like that's just the truth. Now, speaking of which, Pac-12. I'm sorry. There's one Pac-12 school. Are they Pac-12?
Yeah, they're in there this
Yeah,
year.
this year. Yeah, Colorado. Yeah. Hey, you know what the topic of this point is? Colorado will always. People don't go back enough. Because here's the topic of this point. The topic of this point is this man came from Jackson State with his son.
Mm-hmm.
With his sons. Because Travis was there too. And Shiloh. To what was a great transition for him as far as the school is concerned. But a bottom dweller as far as in the conference.
Yeah.
He is now bowl running. He is now. They are now
front runners. Yeah, they're front runners.
They
in
have
their conference.
I wish I can go in the household of a 12-year-old, 11-year-old that doesn't really know football, but they want to know.
Mm-hmm.
They're Colorado fans, right? Because for life. This is their time of engagement. This is when they are most influential, and they're running to it. Just like you said, your father ran to Eddie Robinson. There are people out here running to Prime, Coach Prime.
Yeah.
And there are people out here saying Coach Prime should have Coach of the Year. Coach Prime should be courted by Jerry to pull another Jimmy Johnson, Dennis Erickson. I'm just gonna take you out of college while you're hot, type of thing, man. You know, Colorado, man. I'm telling you, Colorado. But I still think Colorado is a Pac-12 team that's gonna run into them real teams and face reality. But it's a good story.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I said this some shows back. We were talking about it when the season was getting started after they had lost 2 games or whatever, and I said, hey, your team is just not good. And at that point in time, they weren't, but now they are a legitimate team. They have a good team. 6 wins, and everybody was celebrating, saying, "Hey, they bowl eligible." And my thing is, if you win 6 games, I don't think you deserve a bowl, because it means you basically a game over being mediocre. 1 more win, you have 7. Now I can see you getting a bowl game. Yes, it's only a 1 game difference, but I don't believe in rewarding being average or mediocre. What they've done, the heart that they've shown, and what they is, unless they make the playoffs and let's say we win a playoff game, it's almost a shame that he won't have Shedeur and Travis there for next year, because they're going to have some more guys coming in via the portal who can actually contribute, and also some top flight athletes coming in who decide, hey, I want to come there. So it's almost a shame that they won't be there in year 3 to really see if this thing is, it's maintainable.
That right there is the telling story of why I don't like what Stephen A. Smith said about him going to the Cowboys. And I don't want to make this a Cowboys story. We'll get to them in a bit. It's the like the playmaker says. You all are looking at me like I started the Miami Mystique. No.
Yeah.
This was Otis Anderson. And
Eddie Hendricks.
Eddie Hendricks.
Ted
You know what I'm
Ted
saying?
Hendricks, yeah.
Yeah, Ted Hendricks and Eddie, but it was a wide receiver Eddie somebody. And
Yeah, Eddie Brown.
Eddie Brown. It was Eddie Brown. They started. You didn't see it on TV, but they got me, and I followed suit. And Jim Kelly. These were the guys who got Bernie Kosar, me, um,
Melvin Bratton.
Evan Bratton. Yeah,
Lonzo Highsmith. Yeah.
right.
He's just Irvin is just one of the ones who's just out in the forefront because he's on TV a lot. Him and
He was
also
the one
Sapp for a
exactly.
while. Yeah.
And I'm not saying Shador and those guys, TV is out now, but the thing is, Shador, Travis, Shador and Travis.
Yeah.
They are the godfathers of the new era. That's making you say, okay. You remember when like OJ got you watching USC.
Mm-hmm.
But you remember Charles White, Ricky Bell, and Marcus.
Yeah. Yeah, there were people who came before they really got it started. And I think Deion would be, I'm sure he's going to do it. But if I believe he's going to stay. I don't think he's leaving. But I think that he will be able to use Shador and Travis to help recruit and get guys say, look, this is what he did for us. And you see where we are. Come here, get this coaching, get the coaching that we have, get this culture, and let's see where you go to the next. See if you make it, and go to the next level. Yeah,
exactly. And one thing I haven't seen out of Colorado, and I'm pretty sure it's going to start again, is and maybe I've been missing the games, but I would love to see Cordell Stewart, Rashawn Salam. Wait a minute, somebody passed.
Yeah. Salam passed.
Salam passed. Cordell.
Yeah. Westbrook.
Micah.
Connect.
Westbrook. I want to see those guys.
Yeah.
I want to see those guys on the sideline. As Travis and Shador come back on the sidelines next year. That's the mystique I want to see them have in the new regime, as they float on, because I want Prime. I really want Prime to set that standard of my core is gone. I got a reload game now. That right there says something. That right there says something to me. So, shout out to Colorado, man. They are doing their thing. They are in flight school right now.
And I'll be the first to admit when he first got into coaching, I understood he coached high school ball, but when he first started off as a head coach at Jackson State, I was skeptical, and I had all the football reasons for why I was skeptical, and I had him again when he went to Colorado because it was such a big leap. 2, it was Colorado. They were 1-11. I mean, the thing. So that, but at the same time, if you go to a school that's 1-11 and you get to 7 wins within 3 years, you've endeared yourself to the boosters and to the students because, man, we only won one game 2 years ago. We got something. We going to a bowl, man. Whatever you need to do, keep this man.
You came in. There were freshmen that came in. He had some sophomores and some juniors not leaving their college career. The freshmen good, but he had some sophomores and juniors who were there when he first got there, sophomores and juniors that are seniors and now seniors, that remember a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, the ones that were able to stay, yeah, they like, man, we didn't win the national championship. Yeah, we didn't win that, because I don't think that's going to happen. We didn't win the national championship, but we went to a bowl game. We got to play past December, and
We
some of
had
them would
ESPN
actually get
coming to our
scouted.
campus.
Yeah,
We our campus was had so many stars, like the 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 the, uh, the Boulder, Denver,
yeah,
Colorado GDP median capita, everything is just went up because of this man. Like it's he's gone beyond. Well, you know what? He hasn't gone beyond his prime effect. His prime effect is still there,
yeah.
but the coaching part of it
It's elevated
and
because he's
man,
got
he's
he
finding
went
good
out and got a
coaches.
legit staff.
He got a legit staff. Like all of this, and still PR man doing just as many commercials. Hadn't stopped anything. So shout out to him, man. Now, moving on to someone else that's doing fine, or should I say doing fines. Nick Bosa. Was it legitimate?
Yeah, he did. It was a violation of league policy, so I don't have a problem with him fining him the $11,000. For those who been under a rock, Nick Bosa was fined $11,225 for violating the NFL's policy of promoting a promotion, and because he had a MAGA hat on that he strategically placed on his head and did this in the middle of Brock Purdy's interview.
Yeah.
And Bosa has since said that fine was well worth it. I'll put it this way. He has a right to support whomever it is he wants to support. And, so you got to look at him as far as, okay, separate him, the player, from the person. As a player, we know he's a heck of a player. But as a person, he's already shown everyone who he was when they went back to tweets he did years ago before he even got into the league.
Pre-draft.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
so,
his brothers aren't different. Right. Well, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So we already know what type of person or mentality he has, and that's his right to be that way. I don't agree with it. I would say, hey, I can say it because we're streaming, but I'm not gonna say it. I could call him a POS, but that will be based on not just who he wants to support and who he's behind.
Is that a personal stuff?
A piece of shit, because it's a family show.
Oh, I thought you meant personal substance. I'm so sorry.
No, because it's a family show, so we'll keep it like that. But a lot of people were upset, and I've seen a lot of people upset him doing that because of who he was supporting. He has a right. We all have a right to support whoever we want to support. So I throw that out of the way. I was just looking at him as a player, but as the person, as the player on the field, but as the person who he is, which after the game is who I will have an issue with. And I'm sure that there's been issues in that locker room, but at the same time, he's a coworker. You might not be a teammate, meaning, hey, you really like him, but he's a coworker and he's doing his job. So he has a person has the right to be not worth a damn if they want to. That was his right. That was his right. I'm just glad that the NFL finally pulled the trigger and fined him when they did, because a lot of people were saying, hey, why haven't they done anything yet? And I guess it just took some time because the backlash they were going to get, they didn't want to have. But, I mean, we already knew who Bosa was. And they say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, so there's a possibility that his brother is like that,
Lord,
and it.
he's just the one. He's just the one.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
who
And I'm gonna
said
say
it?
I'm gonna say kudos to the NFL because one thing the NFL will do, and they've learned to do, is stop the bleeding before it begins. And what I mean by that is we all know who makes up 78% of the NFL. San Francisco is also it's this liberal place, right? But remember, San Francisco is also the birthplace of taking a knee,
Mm-hmm.
during the anthem. And so I think Bosa, Kaepernick, there's something in that culture that allows them this little freedom anyway. And I think that's an internal San Francisco thing. And then it gets on the platform of the NFL, and then the NFL has to take notice. And so for the NFL to find him and say, hey, look, man, nothing against what you're doing on your free time, but what we don't want is the snowball and the slippery slope. That's what you allowing? Okay, let me start
Yeah.
kneeling again. And then we fall back on to where we were, because it ended right before 2020. And then when the man got in office,
Mm-hmm.
it seemed like it started with him. So let's nip this in the bud, and I'm pretty sure when he gets back in the office and the 2025 season comes around, the MAGA hat gonna come out again, because that's just media. That's just media. But it's red. Just put a gold G on it and say "Make America Gold Again," and act like it's a pump up of San Francisco. Like, you got to be smarter than that, Joe. I mean,
Yeah, but that he had a teacher who came out and said that he isn't smart and he's racist. He
his
had a
PR
teacher
his
who,
PR guy.
yeah,
He ain't smart enough to get a PR guy. Good gosh. Well,
yeah, but
let me
you
tell you.
know, a
Go
lot of
ahead.
these guys they don't listen to the PR guys anyway. But I'm sure.
They really,
Well,
really
we
don't.
know, yeah, we know Bosa. He had that pre-planned because that's not something that you just walk around with and say, I'm gonna have this in my
Hey,
locker.
you ain't about as pre-planned as the phone that Joe Horn used. About as pre-planned as the Sharpie in T.O. sock.
T.O.
He know he had it planned. Now, sticking with the same team. Sticking with the same team, and your theme of that's your teammate, that's your coworker, that's family. A man with the appropriate name, Debo. All your food delivery needs. Make sure you go to Light Snack. That's LYTE snack.com. And make sure for all your deliveries, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you visit Light Snack and they'll deliver it right to your door. And make sure when you get those deliveries, make sure you're ordering those Magic City wings. And remember, their motto, don't forget to lick the sauce. Has decided to take his long snapper's throat. Now let me stop playing. After being frustrated over 3 botched kicks in Tampa that could have cost them the game, but actually ended up winning the game, ironically, Debo, who's the captain, took it upon himself to go to the sideline and express his frustrations to the kicker in regards to the misses. And the long snapper decided to kind of step into some business that wasn't his.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of got a little mushed in the neck. What you got to say about that, Tank?
When I was playing, I didn't believe in and didn't want to fight teammates because I just didn't think it was appropriate. But sometimes things happen and it boils over and you get into one. You shouldn't fight it during the game. Period. Not your own teammate. You just shouldn't.
Arguing and putting your hands on somebody.
Yeah, no, yeah, and
Camera always on.
yeah, but the lone snapper, I can't remember his name, but that was the most airtime he's ever gotten and he'll ever get because no
Right.
one pays attention to the lone snapper until he muscle snap. But I think Debo was out of line as far as putting his hands on him. He didn't need to do that, and especially as a captain, you're held to a higher standard. So he shouldn't. It was something he shouldn't have done because cameras are everywhere. There's nothing. They catching people. They're catching quarterbacks picking bookers. So you know they're gonna catch you putting your hands on a teammate. Uh, he should have talked to him and told him, "Hey, get it together or whatnot." But I don't think he should have placed his hands on him.
Go ahead.
And me, if I was the lone snapper and he put his hands on me, I would have retaliated. And you know why I would have retaliated? I'm being funny, but I'm for real at the same time. If you saw his pregame outfit that he wore to the game, you wearing that, you're not putting your hands on me and think you're getting away with it.
He had on his Florida Dukes.
I don't know what. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. You ain't, dude. You're not touching me that way or any way, and you wearing stuff like that. Yeah, we just not having
it. Hey, Tabor Pepper.
Yeah, man, you can't.
Tabor Pepper. You let the man that came in looking like salt and pepper
Put his hands on you.
Hey. And you know, whatever going on with Debo, that's him. But hey, man, you can't be holding your mouth like that.
Yeah. It ain't. Man, my
seen that. Like for instance, two things about that incident. It's wrong, and I believe he knows he's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But he got caught in not the moment of choking the man. He got caught in the moment of people be stepping into things that ain't their business.
Yeah.
And I believe Debo went to be a captain and verbally abused the kicker. Get your mind right. Yeah. Now, one thing about a kicker, you know, just like they say, kickers are like golfers. Like you can't mentally mess with them. You gotta let them be by themselves and deal with them at another time because they can be thrown off. But I don't think Debo had any intention of doing anything other than a verbal assault at the kicker. And mind you, we are talking about San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
We are talking about, you know, some man that came through the locker room with some sweet pants and a sweet walk on. And another man stepped in between him for another man. You know. So I don't know what's going on. But you don't step. You do not step in between. And that's what's happened. Like, you gotta, this ain't even your business mush. I believe that's really what it was. And then he realized what he did, and that's why he was walking away from it. Like, my fight ain't even with you. Let me get on over here because you stepping into something that ain't even your business. I don't have no beef with you, and I believe that's what happened. But I have seen when I've been on the sideline, I'm not gonna say any name, but I have seen a special teams player get bopped over the head by a starter for messing up a play. And here's the logic behind that. There's nothing against special teams. Special teams end up becoming regular players someday, and they're important to a degree. But on a 10-play drive, whether it's football or 3 and out, there are guys out here taking most of the grunt of the hits to get the 3 and out for you to punt the ball.
Yeah.
There's the guys out here taking the grunt of the 10-play drive to get up to the point of getting a field goal, whether it be PAT or 3-point, that you're not taking. You just run on the field, do your little duty, and make the most of our reward for taking all these hits. So if I done took the grunt of these hits to establish us with a good field position, and you jump offside on the punt.
Yeah, it's
Or
going
you miss
some
the field goal.
frustration gonna boil over.
I'm going to be frustrated. My body taking all this for you to mess up. That's a different conversation with the dude that's in the trenches battling with you. Hey man, my bad when I went. Okay, just calm down.
Yeah,
You need no rest.
yeah, yeah. But at the same time, I'm a grown man. You're a grown man. Don't put your hands on me, especially at work, because we are at work, and you're
I'm a
gonna try to
grown
put
man.
your hands on me. Hey, if you want to if you really want to do something, let's wait till we get off the clock. Okay, but right now we still got a goal to accomplish. We still trying to win the game. We still trying to make it, trying to say we're gonna qualify for the playoffs. So don't put your hands on me and don't come messing with, like you said, messing with the kicker. Because if a kicker gets the yips like Koo did with the Falcons, it's gonna be a bad thing.
Absolutely, man. And speaking of grown men being professionals, playing like professionals, letting bygones be bygones. Russell Wilson seems to be the future. Wait, I ain't mean to say
Man,
that.
see that. There you go. See, there you go. He taking it. He wanted to just run off. Like Eddie said years ago, he give a Negro a rope, he want to be a cowboy. I mean,
Hey, I mean, um, I, okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to.
that's my quarterback, man.
But Russell
That's my
Wilson seems to
quarterback.
be. He seems to be having things looking bright. That is that better?
Yeah, that's
Okay. You know, for Tomlin and Khan. And what better person to speak on Pittsburgh showing the rookie who, by the way, you know, you got to beat who's in front of you, but you haven't beat any winning teams that's in front of you, Jaden. So anyway, tell me what's going on over there. You know, hey,
Hey, I'll just say this: we've made Wilson is exactly who and what we needed to make the push to put us into the, if not the elite, but just below elite status. We are at minimum on the same level as the Baltimore Ravens. Minimum. And we're gonna show you that this weekend, Sunday.
you know what?
But
Hold on. I'm not gonna let you do that. I'm not gonna let you do that. I'm gonna tell you why. Y'all got a better defense than them.
yeah, we got much better defense.
So y'all might be
Yeah, better.
tickable.
Yeah, we're gonna win.
You
We're
know,
gonna
y'all might be
win.
a tickable.
Yeah. But when we got Russell Wilson, I was happy. I said that's what we needed. We need a veteran quarterback who's got the experience, not just playing a long time, but a quarterback who's a veteran who's won in the playoffs, who actually has gone to a Super Bowl and won, and who can tell guys, hey, this is what it takes to get there. A guy who's played with a hellacious defense and knows how to take advantage of that defense. A guy who's been able to make those around him better and play in his role. A guy who has been able to show that he's a leader. Some people talk about his personality. They say he's quirky, or they want to say whatever they want to say about him. But the bottom line is he's proven that he's a winner. He's a champion. And Mike Tomlin made the right decision. And I said this weeks ago, why he should make the switch to Russell Wilson. Everyone else was enamored with the 4-2 record, but they weren't looking at the 4-2 record and the offense that was going with it. The offense was not one that was going to get you anything if you made the playoffs. And that's what Tomlin was looking at. And Tomlin was also looking at, hey, we got this gauntlet of a second half of the schedule. We got the Ravens twice. We got Cincinnati twice. We got Cleveland twice. Cleveland is no good, but it's a divisional rival. We got Kansas City coming up. We got Philadelphia coming up. And lo and behold, we didn't know it, but we had Washington coming up. So letting him play, starting him the previous 2 games before we start this gauntlet of a schedule, which is the toughest in the NFL, he got his feet wet with those 2 games and knocked the rust off. We're averaging 30 points a game the past 3 games with him. We weren't going to do that with Fields. And I've got to give applause not just to Tomlin, but to Omar Khan, the con man, as we like to call him, because we got Wilson, we got Fields, we picked up Mike Williams, and we picked up the guy Peterman from Green Bay. You know, we're paying all these guys, and they're all contributors already. A total of $7 million for this year.
And didn't Mike get a touchdown?
Yes, Mike, the game-winning touchdown.
Did he send the video? Did he send the video to Aaron?
He should have. I mean, and he hadn't had it reps. We talk about the guy who just got off the plane, the crashing plane, the Jets, and he got there and he produced. I think that this is exactly what the Steelers needed to do. Tomlin did exactly what he needed to do. The defense is very good, but when I look at this defense and I look at the past defenses we've had, it's not up to that level yet. But we've jumped for a long time. We had a game changer in the secondary, which was Troy. We had game changer at the linebacker position, which was Harrison, and we had a game changer, and so we had multiple game changers or dominant guys on the defensive line, which was Aaron Smith. Then it went to Kiesel, and then we had the big snack machine, Casey Hampton. Now we have guys who are all, and plus, the defense was just star-studded. Our defense now isn't star-studded, but we got guys who have specific roles, and they play those roles.
They're going to eventually
evolve to that.
What they're doing, they're going to eventually become the names.
Right.
You know, because all those guys you named were following people.
Yeah.
Who eventually had names like Earl Holmes came in, you know, as an understudy. He was who's the cornerback you have now?
Joey Porter Jr.
Earl was like the understudy to Joey Porter Sr. And Earl, who was a head
Earl
on that
stepped
man.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'll get their name. They'll get their name.
Yeah. And you know, and the thing about the Steelers is they haven't come close to peaking yet. The offense is still getting together, and the fact the running game from on the half, as far as Najee yesterday wasn't working, but it was working with Warren. We still had almost 150. We had 147 yards rushing. With Wilson, 50% completion percentage, but he completed key passes. He threw 3 touchdowns, which is what we need. We need the ball in the end zone. We need you throwing touchdown passes. If you complete, that's what we need. 3 touchdowns. We had the running game working. The defense was doing its thing. We got guys we got Ogunjobi. He's not a star, but he's coming. He's one of those guys who's coming to his own. We just picked up the guy from Green Bay. He comes in and gets a sack after Highsmith goes out hurt. I mean, things are going well for them, and we aren't going to be in salary cap purgatory next year because we got guys signed who need to be signed, and we could possibly re-sign Fields for a bargain next year, and at the same time we could also sign Field Wilson for an additional 2 years, or something like a Geno contract. And hey, 2 years, Wilson's gone. Fields, you've been the understudy. We've had some packages for you. You've gotten better. You're ready to be the starter now, and you ain't 30 years old yet. So I mean, Omar Khan and Tomlin are working together very well. I like the way they're working. They're doing some things a little differently than what Tom Donahoe was doing when he was there, and they're hitting not just on draft picks, but they're hitting on free agency. They aren't going out making big splashes, getting the big names, because Queen wasn't a big name, and a lot of people didn't think he was going to do much once he left Baltimore. But he's shown his speed, he's shown his ability to step up and make hits, and you saw him beat Jaden Daniels to the corner when he tried to skirt outside on a run.
Absolutely.
So we got the proper pieces that we need.
He's bringing it to Pittsburgh. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's some good stuff, man. I wish Pittsburgh. I don't know. I don't know, man. Like seven is a little too far ahead, so I don't know if I wish Pittsburgh well at all. But some good stuff, man. That's some good stuff. Now, segueing a bit, but sticking with where you were with people getting along. We have across the state. Well, no, he's from the same state. And remember, ladies, for all of your comfort and around the house wear, lingerie, comfy clothes, make sure you visit quickvisits.com. That's QUIKVISITS.com for all of your lounge wear, lingerie wear, sport wear, workout wear, athletic wear. Make sure you go to quickvisits.com. They'll be there for you, and you'll love that, I tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Which is probably why he talks so much. Micah Parsons has again felt the need to open his mouth, and not on his podcast. Like, he didn't even do this on his free time. He did this in the locker room and make some statements in regards to his feelings about his teammates versus his coach, Mike McCarthy. And it is the soundbite heard around the world right now. Well, the league, definitely. What do you feel about Micah Parsons again making these statements?
He's got to think before he speaks, which is something that he's not doing. And I see two ways of looking at what he said about McCarthy. He can go on and he can go wherever. He can go on about it. He should have left that part out. If he had left that part out and just said, I really feel bad for guys like Zach Martin, guys who've been putting in, this could be their last year, their last contract. I wanted to win for them, because the way you can look at what he said about McCarthy is McCarthy can get fired or quit and leave and go get another coaching job probably, or you could say McCarthy, he's going to be here. So I'm not worried about him as the coach, but I'm worried about my teammates. But he needs to keep his mouth closed, because the way that came out, the way it looked, and after you just got your ass whooped, it sounds like you throwing your coach under the bus saying, hey, I want him out of here. And I feel sorry for these guys. I want to win for them. But before he even gets into that, he doesn't need to say anything. He needs to look in the mirror and look at what he isn't doing and hasn't been doing the past few years to fulfill the potential that he has. He's a heck of an athlete, but he's a one-dimensional player. He goes game on in without showing up on the stat sheet, without making an impact, without doing anything. But he got so caught up into this, I'm the next Lawrence Taylor after his freshman. He's not. You're not. You're not. You're not the next LT. You don't have the work ethic, and it's showing on the field. You don't study. It's showing on the field. You're not producing. It's showing on the field. You're talking about defensive player of the year. You're not winning that. It's showing on the field. You just need to, you and your owner need to, and just do your job, because all you're doing is making it more divisive in the locker room. They asked you about top 5 quarterbacks in the league the other week, and you didn't mention Dak, which he's not. And some people would say, as a teammate, you should do it. You should mention your teammate.
Say other than your teammate.
Yeah, right? Say other than. Other people would say, hey, he was being honest. The guy's just not one of them, and he's not. But you have to be smart enough to at least caveat some things. You know, it makes no sense for him to always be in the front. Keep the microphone out of his face and stay and do your podcast and talk about music, because you're acting just like your owner, running your mouth about everything, not having any solutions, and thinking that you've arrived and you've done what nobody else can do. And the film, The Eye in the Sky, doesn't lie. You're not living up to what you were drafted to be, and what your potential is, and what you call yourself being. He needs to keep his mouth closed. I mean, I understand sympathizing with guys who might be on their way out, but keep that in-house. Keep it in-house.
His you know what, okay, he reminds me of this era. There are a lot of things that are the same, but it doesn't come with a lot of the elements to justify your reason for saying it. For instance, I think he misses Dan Quinn, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, and then and it doesn't look any better for when he looks over and sees Dan Quinn with a little success, right? And it's almost like he's saying, "Pick me, pick me, pick me. I haven't signed yet. Tell you people I want to get out." You know, he's always been a, why didn't we get him? Oh, they got who I want. Like, he always had his eye in everybody else's room. Mr. Microphone Parsons. He always had the eye in somebody else's room instead of the film room, because I totally agree. And then how he tries to justify it by not speaking on Dak's behalf. Not saying he had to, but you like you said, you have to figure out a way to caveat that and camouflage it a bit so the context won't go wrong. But it sounds like that 1985 type of situation when you end up seeing Buddy Ryan get carried off the field along with Mike Dicker. But what's missing with and because you do find defensive guys that don't agree with offensive-minded head coaches and coordinators. It's the nature of football, especially if the thing about the difference in that is your side ain't holding up nothing.
Right. Exactly.
Your side ain't holding the team down for you to even be justifying what they didn't do because of what you're actually doing prolifically. You're not LT. I called you Hugh Green, but I'm giving you too much credit. You're probably Broderick Thomas.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not.
And you're working on being Andre Bruce. You're living off what other people. You're literally living off what people told you. Guess what? When you have brought it on yourself to have people start looking at these games closely, you were benefiting from those balloon numbers, like your quarterback that you say is not good. And it's funny you dog him out, because your numbers from a defensive standpoint are coming against losing teams.
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing anything in the playoffs. When you play a winning team, you disappear. That mouth has people looking at you from a microscope. You ain't no when you get on the field against winning teams, you're Ernest Sims, homeboy.
Yeah, you look like Tarzan, play like Jane.
You look like Tarzan. What the monkey name? Hold on, no. You ain't even been on the field. You ain't been on the field. I can't even give you Tarzan. You the man that who was driving the boat? Who was driving the boat on Gilligan's Island?
The skipper. The skipper and Gilligan. The skipper, yeah. Yeah.
Somebody.
He's Gilligan.
Straight
always
Gilligan.
messing up something.
On my pile. Yeah, you. And you ain't gonna do nothing.
Yeah.
Because you one of them old Philly jokers or Pennsylvania jokers that be running your mouth. And that's your problem. Y'all be talking too much. Play ball. Go play ball if you want to run your mouth like that.
Yeah, because he physically, nobody's gonna say that he can't be a great player. But up here and getting on the field, putting in the work, he's not living up to it. And he's thinking now he's gonna want a monster contract at the end of this year. And you know what Jerry's gonna do? He's gonna drag it out until
and pay him off high
5 minutes. Yeah, and pay him
off
5 minutes. 5 minutes before kickoff of the first game, he's gonna sign the contract because it's gonna be it's gonna stay in the media. They're gonna talk about it throughout the whole offseason. He's gonna go out and not produce again. He needs to prove it, and Jerry needs to step down and get somebody outside of his family to run the organization, to take over as the GM, because Jerry is the problem in Dallas.
Absolutely.
The players are the problem in Dallas. McCarthy is the problem in Dallas. The whole thing I heard CeeDee Lamb complaining, talking about he couldn't see because the sun was in his eye. That's why he didn't catch the ball.
Let me tell you something.
They play there every week. They play there every other week.
At 425. Exactly. And I'm going to tell you something. The only thing I will, and this is what you need to realize. I'm going back to Micah right quick. Humble yourself, because I will say this. You would have been looking like a superstar, and you would have got your check. You'd have been overpaid, but Overshown got hurt his first year, and Sam Williams ain't know. These are the guys who camouflage who you really are. You need a triple beam, and see, and this ain't saying nothing about LT, but there are things about LT that even he'll admit. I am LT by myself, but Pepper Johnson and Harry Carson did make LT a greater situation. And I believe the Cowboys got a linebacker situation like New Orleans had with Sam Mills, the core that the Bucs had. Yeah. I believe Micah Parsons is this guy who's phenomenal, but he's not you're not the tier on your own. You're just not that. So I'm gonna give you, humble yourself, because you need Smith, Williams, and Overshown to be there to really show your true capabilities and mastery of your craft. But you're not that thing alone. Now, going back to your point, you pay a $325 game. If you playing in the rain, the equipment manager say what? Or you playing in the snow, the equipment manager say what? You're gonna need longer cleats.
Yeah.
We're not going to run those plays because of the elements. And this goes back to Mike McCarthy. I don't think he cares anymore, because even your equipment managers aren't saying, hey, we play that 325 game at certain sunset. That sun is going to come down and beam through that mirror, and we might be on that side of the ball. Give all the receivers some visors. when we get inside a certain area on the field, we're not going to run those plays because visibility doesn't help. We're going to run over here on this side of the hashtag. If we get it, we get it. We don't, we don't. Aubrey, get ready. These are things like that son. Oh well. That's an equipment.
Yeah.
That's an equipment thing. That ain't Jerry. Why would you build that? Whatever.
Like Jared said, what do you want me to do? Put curtains up, or just tear the thing down, or tear the whole thing down? I wouldn't have. I don't think that, again, when a team is self imploding and is in a downward spiral with no way out, every excuse in the book comes out. I couldn't see the sun was in my eyes. If you would have made that catch, same condition, he wouldn't have said, the sun was in my eye, but I was still able to catch. That was just another excuse for why they're splitting at the seams. They're coming apart at the seams. Certain things, the excuses or whatnot, keep them in house. Just say, hey, I missed the ball. I misjudged it. I don't want to hear the sun was in my eye. The sun's in everybody's eye.
Hey, and isn't that an advantage to a degree? All right, like for instance, I know Miami, when the sun is on a certain side, when the sun come up on that time and frame, they make sure that the visiting team, that sun is in their face, right? I get it. So how smart do you have to be? Because I've been looking at the weather, and the weather is consistent for like 3 days. So my thing is, you were home. You could have went to practice on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, or okay, hey, let's run over here to the stadium right quick and put that thing right there when that sun like that, just in case, and let's practice on some past plays or see what happened when that sun beaming on us. Because 4:25 or whatever time that happened, it probably looked like that anyway. With the exception of the crowd noise. So you had an advantage to practice on that the other team didn't, and you didn't. You know why? Because in Jerry world, you probably were doing a podcast or a TV show, or had an extra interview, or had to sign some extra autographs, and you can't think like that because he got you doing something else that takes away from winning. And Mike McCarthy can't think like that, because this is just logical stuff.
It's next level. There's only a few players, the coaches who gonna think like that.
That's beating you get to do exactly, and you can tell there's something else going on there, because my point was that is why this is a game of inches. It's the inches in practice, the extra minute in the gym, the extra minute that next man is not doing that makes the inch. You probably was inches away from catching it. You probably would have known how to hold your hands in the placement. Your QB know how to throw the ball. Oh no, I ain't gonna do it. It's gonna be left shoulder because the shadow around this time. It's amazing what's going on out there. It's amazing that Jimmy Johnson foreshadowed when Jerry said he gonna build the biggest entertainment franchise ever. And Jimmy said, I don't want no parts of that. I don't want my team in that because I know how it's gonna end up making us look. That was 30, 40 years ago, and that man is still right. Two things can be right at the same time. Jerry, you're right. You did build it, but you're sacrificing wins.
Yeah, but I mean, my thing with Jerry, it's time for him to step aside. I mean, bottom line, it's time for him to step aside, and he needs to put somebody, I don't care, go outside of your family and get you a football guy to take over. One more thing about the sunlight. This is the thing that I was saying, hey, it's next level when you're taking everything in. Don Shula in 1972, before the Super Bowl, he went out, sat in, what was it? I believe it was played in the Orange Bowl. Wherever. Well, no, it wasn't. Wherever it was played, he sat out there the whole day from the time of the kickoff till the time the game will end to see where the sun was going to be at each point of the day to say, okay, we can run a play here. We can't run it there because the sun's going to be in our eyes. If we're going in this direction, we can't do this. We can't do that. The top notch coaches and players will go the extra mile to get any advantage that they can. And that's something that you're not seeing Dallas do. And it shows on the field.
You know what? Do you know what Jerry would have told Don if he saw him out there? Hey Don, I don't know what you out there doing, but I got these corporate sponsors that want to talk to you for about 2 hours. Hey Jerry, I'm getting prepared for the game, man. The Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But the corporate sponsors, man, this is going to be big money. We're going to get that W. You know, and that's your problem. You need to step down because you have definitely proven yourself. You built the biggest entertainment franchise. You just can't win those Super Bowls like that. You keep telling yourself you are. You're not.
You're not.
Because you're not giving your coaches the opportunity to see where the sunspots are. To see, to see where the low end of the field is. You're just not. Because you out there got them entertaining people. It's a zoo. You know it. And I don't care what Urban say. They aren't built like you.
They're not. They're not.
They can't.
Those guys.
It's a distraction to them. Playmaker. It's a distraction.
Yeah. And you look at any team that's won the Super Bowl, or any team that not only won the Super Bowl but won multiple Super Bowls. If you talk to those players and you talk to those coaches and you talk to guys around that team, they would tell you the one thing they had in common, besides the work ethic, was they hated to lose. They had a disdain for the taste of losing. You could do whatever. If they won 3-0, they would be pissed off because they didn't dominate, but they would say, okay, they're going to do better, but they could not stand losing. This Dallas team, I don't think it matters to them. It's like, man, we lost.
It hadn't mattered. It hadn't mattered since Romo was there, because Dak, just like Romo, they figured out a way to make the words that come out of their mouth after a loss sound good. I expect to see Dak in the booth too. But at any rate, in your last words,
I just got this warning that I want to send out to Lamar and the Ravens. We're coming for you. Sunday, we're coming for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're coming for you. That's it. Hey, I love it. Because that's everybody gonna be watching. Everybody is going to be watching. And for me, you about to say something else?
Quick. NFL, do the fans a favor, flex this game till the late game, or to a national late game,
It's a 1 o'clock game.
or flex it to Sunday night.
Yeah, we are in flex season because I'm believing that we're gonna lose the Tampa Bay on December 22nd. We're gonna lose the Tampa Bay Dallas night game to Washington Philly, because that looked like a flexible a flex game. But at any rate, my last words, and I'm gonna keep it short, man. What I saw from football this weekend, and we talking Saturday to Sunday. We used to glorify defense. We used to say things like defense win championships. When you said God loves football, you say go D, and you spelled G-O-D. But y'all so soft right now. You're soft, and then you make excuses for your sophomores. You're passing out. And I know people like, oh, you don't even play. You're passing out. You know, the defensive player falling out for the offensive player. And so I just hope that as we get further along in the season and the Steelers don't jump down, the Steelers don't really make Baltimore, is the free agency deadline over? The Steelers don't make Baltimore look again and say, dang, we chose a receiver. Because we are talking about two franchises that when they meet up, even though one does have some offensive names, I can't even front. One has some legendary offensive names, but they have just as many defensive legendary names too. And so when they met up with when these two met, the marquee was about defense. Snot nose, black and blue. But I do believe that the marquee is going to be about offense this coming. And that's because we just don't build them like we used to. Defenses, University of Miami, Baltimore. Come on now. Bucks. Come on now. Bears. Come on now. Pittsburgh. Minnesota. New York Jets. Come on now. Step your game up. Rent dude. Play some defense. That's it for me, man. It has been another great show. And don't forget, Instagram, NOJ.
Y'all need them.
And some O's. No Jazz Show, NOJASSHOW. We got YouTube, No Jazz Show, NOJASS, No Jazz Show. Follow us. Thank you for your clicks. Thank you for your comments. Thank you. Please subscribe. No Jazz Show. You all have been wonderful to us on TikTok. Ride out. I love it. It's been good, man. Tank. Salute these people.
Don't forget to share.
Let them see your shirt too, man. Honor your shirt. Honor your
see
shirt.
That?
Honor
That's
your
official,
shirt.
baby. That's official.
Y'all tied for first in the division, right?
No, we're in first.
And honor your shirt.
We're in first.
In first. Straight up. If I had a terrible towel, I'll go wash my car. All right, y'all. It's been a good night. It's been No Jazz. Later. You just watched another episode of No Jazz. Follow us on YouTube at No Jazz Show. And make sure you hit us up on Twitter at No Jazz Show. Make sure you hit us up on Instagram at NOJ.A.S.S. Follow us on Facebook, on our Facebook page at No Jazz Show. All right? See you soon.